Good morning. This is Stephen C. And you are at Steve OC's on TikTok. This TikTok live on Wednesday, May 28th, 2025. It is 11 a.m. Central Time. I am here every morning at 11 a.m. Central Time, facilitating this review of the Course in Miracles, where we take a look at and we review and discuss the lesson of the day, and then a corresponding portion of the text. If you missed the live, or if you are interested in the series, which has been produced and is over on YouTube, please go to the YouTube channel. There is a link in the bio. There is a link in the account bio, or you can search on YouTube at Stevo Sees, STEVOSEES, and you can find the previous 147 discussions that we have had since January 1st, 2025. Everybody knows the rules. One lesson per day from the Course in Miracles workbook. So you can find there are over 120 hours of uploads over on YouTube to mine, to research, to listen to as you clean the house or prepare dinner or take your walk. So I appreciate your support. Thank you for being here today. Please remember to like the live, share the live, follow this account. You can also subscribe to this live for a very nominal fee if you wish to support the efforts that are being put forth every morning at 11 a.m. Central Time. I do appreciate all my subscribers, and thank you for being here. Feel free to comment. Let's get to it. We begin every session, we begin every study session, every review session by reading the introduction to the Course in Miracles as a grounding exercise to bring us into the vibration of the Course, to ground us and center our thought. The introduction to the text says, "This is a Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way: nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So in that introduction, that very succinct summary of what is encountered in the Course in Miracles, it sets it up very nicely. And a couple key points there. There is a curriculum that needs to be learned according to the Course in Miracles. We need to learn how to, quote unquote, wake up. We have a need to learn a new thought system, which is the opposite of the thought system of duality. So a non-dual thought system is being presented in the Course in Miracles. The workbook is the portion of the book that provides a discipline and exercises. The text is the part of the book that provides what the Course calls a theoretical framework for the thought transformation that we will undergo as part of this curriculum. It says it is a universal curriculum, and this particular form, as it says in the preface to the Course in Miracles. This particular form, this framework is presented from a Christian perspective, and so uses Christian terminology. The voice of Jesus is the voice that is teaching Course in Miracles. This course was presented, downloaded, or channeled by a woman named Helen Schuckman, who was a Columbia University psychology professor in the 1970s, who had a very contentious relationship with the dean of her college, William Thetford. They turned to each other one day, the story goes, and said out loud to each other that there must be a better way. The course then says this course, which was then presented to Helen Schuckman, she began to hear, quote unquote, a different voice in her head, a voice that was not the normal self-talk that she engaged in. In fact, Helen Schuckman was Jewish and also claimed to be an atheist. And she began to receive this transmission or channeling, which is the Course in Miracles, over a period of several months, I think years even. They began to work on this text, and then it was published and presented to the world. So we are currently reviewing, as part of the workbook lesson, in a reviewing the last 20 lessons. This is the fourth review of the workbook so far. It is May 28th today, Wednesday, May 28th. And so this lesson we are reviewing is lesson 148. And then we will also be talking about corresponding portion of the text, chapter 17, section 7, lesson 148. As part of this review, I'd like to read the introduction to the review. There is no text that accompanies the reviewed lessons, so I like to read the introduction to, again, set the stage. This introduction to the review says we now review again, this time where we are preparing for the second part of learning how the truth can be applied. Again, the workbook is the application of the principles or the theory or the framework that is laid out in the text. There's also a third portion of the course called the Manual for Teachers. And in this non-dual consciousness, in awakening to the non-dual nature of reality, the truth of the spirit, the unified field, if you will, the quantum field, the ether, the ocean of consciousness, is a singularity, to use, again, terminology from quantum physics or from science. This unified field of consciousness, this non-dual field of consciousness, is oneness. It is a singularity. So we are now preparing in this review for, I think, 3 more days, the last 20 lessons, reviewing the last 20 lessons. The second part of learning how the truth can be applied today, we will begin to concentrate on readiness for what will follow next, such as our aim. There's a central theme that unifies each step in the review we undertake, which can be simply stated in these words: my mind holds only what I think with God. So this is the subtext, the background thought, the unifying thought that is carried throughout these 10 days of review, 2 lessons per day, 2 previous lessons. My mind holds only what I think with God. It then says this is a fact and represents the truth of what you are and what your Father is. It is this thought by which the Father gave creation to the Son, establishing the Son as co-creator with himself. Son, S-O-N, according to the Course in Miracles, according to Jesus, according to the voice for Jesus, which is the voice that is speaking in this text, the Son, S-O-N, co-creator with God, is all of us collectively, each of us individually and all of us collectively, a holographic sense of the universe, the microcosm and the macrocosm. Atman and Brahma, the unification, I and the Father are one, but it is not a single individual from history named Jesus Christ or called Jesus Christ or called Yeshua, but all of us, each of us, as an aspect or component or individualized consciousness, the part that is essential to the whole that is composed of parts, the parts complete within themselves. As above, so below. I and the Father are one. It is this thought that fully guarantees salvation to the Son. My mind holds only what I think with God is equivalent to I and the Father are one. For in his mind, in the Son's mind, no thoughts can dwell but those his Father shares. Then, a key sentence here, lack of forgiveness blocks this thought from his awareness, yet it is forever true. My mind holds only what I think with God. Lack of forgiveness blocks this thought form from my awareness, yet it remains true. The truth is always true. The truth is eternal. Despite my dreaming, despite my fascination with illusions, despite my being caught up in the illusion of this world, despite the fall in vibration, despite the fall in consciousness, the truth still is. God still is. In fact, only a small portion of my consciousness is wrapped up, as it were, in this world of the perception of the 5 senses. Let's call it 10%. 10% of my consciousness, if you've ever heard science say, we're only using 10% of our mind. Let's just say then, esoterically or metaphysically, the other 90%, perhaps composed of the subconscious and or the super conscious, remains in heaven, remains perfect, whole, and complete, remains as it was created. And only 10%, a very small portion, a fraction of that consciousness in this illusion is engaged with this illusion. Now continues to talk about the lack of forgiveness that traps us, imprisons us through our own thoughts, through our own beliefs in this realm, in this condition. Let's begin our preparation with some understanding of the many forms in which the lack of true forgiveness may be carefully concealed. Self-deception, because they are illusions, they are not perceived to be what they are: defenses that protect your unforgiving thoughts from being seen and recognized. Their purpose, the purpose of illusions, the purpose of the dream, is to show you something else and hold correction off through self-deceptions made to take correction's place. And yet, your mind holds only what you think with God. Your self-deceptions cannot take the place of truth, no more than can a child who throws a stick into the ocean change the coming and going of the tides, the warming of the water by the sun, the silver of the moon on it by night. So our dreaming does not change the truth. It is about as effective as throwing a stick into the ocean in order to stop the crashing of the waves on the beach or the coming and going of the tides. That is the extent of the effectiveness of our attempt or our experiment to change reality. The game we're playing, the game we designed to explore the idea of the conditions that would arise under the belief that we are separate from our source, that we are separate from the truth, that there is a dual aspect to reality instead of a singular aspect to reality. As part of that game, we find ourselves here, perceiving the world through our five senses, believing in a separation between the spiritual world and the material world. An idea formulated or fortified or presented by René Descartes, the French philosopher, as part of the Enlightenment, quote unquote, Enlightenment, that mind and matter are separate things. Course in Miracles, much of quantum physics and science now, cognitive science, cognitive psychology, cognitive biology, the teachings of Joe Dispenza, the scientific discoveries of Joe Dispenza, the scientific experiments, Joe Dispenza, for instance, all of these things now begin to point to the idea that consciousness is not separate from the material world. Of course, there's still a lot of resistance to that idea. Many people with positions, many people in positions of authority and esteem given by the world who do not really want to give up their position. So, of course, there are many disputes, many arguments against this type of thinking. However, this is the kind of thinking that the Course presents and that we talk about every day. My mind holds only what I think with God. God offers thanks to you who practice thus the keeping of his word. His gratitude surrounds you in the peace wherein he wills you be forever, and are learning now to claim again as your inheritance. Okay, perfect peace, peace that passes understanding, is available here and now as part of this experience. No need to, quote unquote, die or croak. As Abraham Hicks says, no need to croak. The beauty, the peace, the oneness of heaven is available to us in consciousness here and now. Recognition of the Spirit and its unity with this world in this time and place, and all the implications of that truth are available to us here and now. So, lesson 148, my mind holds only what I think with God. Lesson 148 is a review of lesson 135 and 136. Lesson 135. Go check it out on the YouTube channel. We discussed lesson 135 last week, a couple weeks ago, 10 days ago, or so, 2 weeks ago. If I defend myself, I am attacked. If I defend myself, I believe in the concept, the idea of attack. Defense is the other side of the coin. Coin of the realm of the ego mind, the coin of the realm of war, death, opposition, destruction, division, duality. So if I defend myself, I am already attacked. I believe, I accept the idea of conflict, of opposition, even though, hey, I was just defending myself. Go check out on YouTube that discussion from a couple weeks ago of lesson 135. Lesson 136, the follow-up to lesson 135, says sickness is a defense against the truth. So here, Course in Miracles, this is a central theme of the Course in Miracles, that the body, again, is the opposite of spirit. Spirit, that undefinable essence, that unmeasurable, through the instrumentality of technology, that unmeasurable essence, the spirit, the opposite of the body. To deny the spirit is to, in effect, cause, quote unquote, cause sickness, illness, insanity, sickness and illness, centrally and primarily of the mind, which is where we are told healing takes place. The healing begins. Healing is applied at the source of the sickness, which is wrong thinking, illusory thinking, which can be corrected and will be corrected through the grace of the Holy Spirit as we practice these workbook lessons or engage in any spiritual practice. The Course in Miracles does not insist upon any sort of supremacy or centrality of its teaching. It says it's a universal curriculum. However, it appears in many different forms. It is applied in many different ways. This course is simply one way, a certain way, an accelerated program of study according to text, an accelerated form of study that can be used as a supplement to any other spiritual practice that you may be engaged in. So that is lesson 148. If I defend myself, I'm attacked, and sickness is a defense against the truth. You can read the primary introduction to the workbook to find out, and you can read the introductory sections to the first 3 sections of the workbook in order to find out how to apply these thoughts throughout the day, how to apply them in the morning, apply them in the evening. Very standard spiritual practice, spiritual discipline. Course does outline it, explain its importance, and adds a couple interesting concepts, such as you don't even have to believe what you're practicing. You don't have to understand it. You may even actively resist it, according to the Course in Miracles. But if you simply follow the directions and the instructions and apply it, it will have an effect. You will begin to understand what is being said. It will begin to transform consciousness, and you will begin to see witnesses to the effectiveness of the application of the exercises of the workbook. So now on to a portion of the text, chapter 17, section 7, corresponding portion of the text, the 148th section of the text is entitled The Call for Faith, the necessity of faith as a part of this practice. The call for faith. And it begins by saying the substitutes. The ego is a substitute, the little self, the personal ego, personality is a substitute for the higher self, the true self. The substitutes for aspects of the situation are the witnesses to your lack of faith. These situations that are being discussed were discussed in the text yesterday. Any situation I find myself in, any situation I find myself in is a set of relationships, a set of relations. The substitutes for aspects of the situation are the witnesses to your lack of faith. And we learned yesterday, we were instructed that the ego seeks to remove certain aspects of the situation, tends to ignore them, deny them, remove them, take them somewhere else to be dealt with, take them somewhere else in consciousness. Okay? For instance, to the subconscious mind, for instance, to that dark realm of forgetting, of suppression, of denial. Ego seeks to take certain aspects which are, you could sort of say, psychologically a natural defense mechanism. We're not judging, we're not condemning, we're simply noting. The course is simply noting the mechanics of how the ego operates. Aspects of the situation, substitutes for aspects of the situation. They demonstrate that you did not believe the situation and the problem were in the same place. Problem, the solving of the situation, the solution to the problem was the lack of faith, and it is this you demonstrate when you remove it from its source and place it elsewhere. I don't place my faith in the situation as a whole, as was illuminated yesterday. Everyone, if the goal of the situation, which is to be recognized at the start of the situation, if the goal is truth, everyone and everything involved in the situation will conform to the truth, and the outcome will be peace, harmony, illumination. The outcome will be the truth. The truth will arrange every aspect of the situation. The means and the end will become one. So here, and it was also pointed out yesterday, that therefore there is a necessity for faith, faith in my brother, faith in every aspect of the situation, faith in the unseen, faith in the unknown, that all aspects of the situation will conform to the truth if the goal is recognized at the beginning of the relationship, at the beginning of the situation. So the problem was the lack of faith, the lack of belief in the unity of all the aspects of the situation. Problem was the lack of faith. And it is this you demonstrate when you remove it from its source and place it elsewhere. As a result, you do not see the problem. Had you not lacked faith that it could be solved, the problem would be gone. The problem persists through the lack of faith that there is a solution already present, that the solution already exists in the mind of God, that the solution is already available, that the solution has already been implemented by the Holy Spirit, that everything is already being worked out, everything is operating together for my good. The situation would have been meaningful to you because the interference in the way of understanding would have been removed. So the Course says the Holy Spirit will solve this situation as long as I don't interfere. How do I interfere? I project the past onto the situation and seek to solve the situation. Remove it to the past is the metaphor here. I seek to solve the situation based on past experience, which is a limitation, which does not allow the holy instant, this moment of now, to appear to me in an unconditioned state, in its true state, in its eternal state, an unconditioned solution, a miracle. I don't allow it to happen by interfering with my thoughts, with my feelings. Right? I don't let go and let God. Instead, I try to manage, control, manipulate. To remove the problem elsewhere is to keep it, for you remove yourself from it and make it unsolvable. There is no problem in any situation that faith will not solve. There is no shift in any aspect of the problem, but will make solution impossible. So the situation can change, it can shift, new aspects can arise. A quote unquote deepening of the problem, more problems, problems on top of problems. None of it makes the solution impossible. Nothing is impossible to God. Nothing is impossible to those who believe. It is done unto you as you believe. So faith, the discussion here is the call for faith, the call to believe in what is unseen. For if you shift part of the problem elsewhere, the meaning of the problem must be lost, and the solution to the problem is inherent in its meaning. The meaning is its oneness, is its composition of creation, the elements of creation that are seeking to be revealed through the presentation to our senses of a problem, quote unquote problem, is the presentation of the problem is the initiation into the process of healing, is the initiation into the outpicturing of the solution. Is it not possible that all your problems have been solved, but you have removed yourself from the solution? Yet faith must be where something has been done and where you see it done. So there's the setup, now a deeper discussion. The setup is the problem has already been solved. I've already been healed. I'm already perfect, whole, and complete. I have done nothing to change reality in this 10% of consciousness that I'm using to manufacture a dream, manufacture a simulation. I've done nothing to reality. Reality still exists as it is and continues to create as I dream a dream of death, as I dream a dream of separation from reality. Now, a deeper discussion. It says a situation is a relationship, being the joining of thoughts. So, a complex of thoughts, a thought complex, right? A psychological complex. If problems are perceived, it is because the thoughts are judged to be in conflict. But if the goal is truth, this is impossible. Some idea of bodies must have entered, for minds cannot attack. There's some interesting ideas being presented here, which do require contemplation, meditation, discussion. There's some deep metaphysics being presented here in the course. The thought of bodies. So there is a thought of separation that is symbolized by the body in the mind, and then the body is produced by the mind, is the idea here. So the thought of bodies is the sign of faithlessness, for bodies cannot solve anything. It is their intrusion on the relationship, an error in your thoughts about the situation, which then becomes the justification for your lack of faith. You will make this error, but be not concerned at all with that. Error does not matter. Faithlessness brought to faith will never interfere with truth. But faithlessness used against truth will always destroy faith. If you lack faith, ask that it be restored where it was lost, and seek not to have it made up to you elsewhere, as if you had been unjustly deprived of it. Right? That elsewhere can also be thought of as other people involved in the situation, involved in the relationship. Do not place the faith outside of yourself in the other person. The faith, the transformation of the situation, the truth abides or resides within us. That's where the problem is solved. It is a problem of perception. It is a problem of a false construction, a structuring of thoughts. It is an illusion. It does not really exist. And so the activity of the Holy Spirit within us, divine wisdom, the divine feminine, is the solution. Cultivating the presence of the Holy Spirit, cultivating the presence of the divine feminine wisdom, Sophia. Okay, the activation of the right hemisphere of the brain, the integration of the left hemisphere of the brain with the right hemisphere of the brain, or the illumination of the subconscious mind, or shadow work, or alchemical transformation, or gnosis. Course goes on. Only what you have not given, only what you have not given can be lacking in any situation. Lack is not outside of myself. If I don't bring it and it seems to be lacking, it's because I haven't brought it with me. But remember this: the goal of holiness was set for the relationship and not by you. You did not set it, because holiness cannot be seen except through faith. And your relationship was not holy because of your faith in your brother was so limited and little. Your faith must grow to meet the goal that has been set. The goal's reality will call this forth, for you will see that peace and faith will not come separately. What situation can you be in without faith and remain faithful to your brother? Every situation in which you find yourself is but a means to meet the purpose set for your relationship. See it as something else and you are faithless. Every situation in which you find yourself is but a means to meet the purpose set for the relationship. Everything I encounter is a lesson, is an illustration in 3 dimensions, in 4 dimensions, in 5 dimensions. Everything that I encounter, everything I participate in is an expression, is a teaching device, is a communication device to help me remember who and what I am, to help me wake up. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the likes there, my friend. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Use not your faithlessness. Let it enter, and look upon it calmly, but do not use it. Faithlessness is the servant of illusion, and wholly faithful to its master. Use it, and it will carry you straight to illusions. Be tempted not by what it offers you. It interferes not with the goal, but with the value of the goal to you. I will not value what is valueless. Was one of the ideas we used a couple days ago, maybe yesterday. I will not value what is valueless. Where your heart is, there will your treasure be also. You cannot serve 2 masters. So there's 5 or 6 more paragraphs here to go through. I am going to skip to the last paragraph and wrap this discussion up. You can go to CourseInMiracles.org online, the website of the Foundation for Inner Peace, who publishes the Course in Miracles. If you don't have the text, you can find the entire text, the workbook, the manual for teachers online at ACIM.org. So the last section of the text today, chapter 17, section 7 says, you call for faith because of her who walks with you in every situation. The Holy Spirit is with us in every situation. The Holy Spirit, the Holy Trinity, is within us. It is the composition of spirit. It is perceived. It is experienced in consciousness. Our consciousness is the conduit for the Spirit, is the instrument of the Spirit, allowing Spirit, turning toward the Holy Spirit, turning toward wisdom, is then reflected or outpictured as the world. So again, a holographic universe, a simulation in which we are participating, like Zelig, like the Woody Allen movie, watching a film of which we are a part of. So you call for faith, which is the title of this section of the text, the call for faith. You call for faith because of her who walks with you in every situation. You are no longer wholly insane, wholly deluded. You are no longer completely buying into the illusion, and you are no longer alone. For loneliness in God must be a dream. You, whose relationship shares the Holy Spirit's goal, truth, are set apart from loneliness because the truth has come. Its call for faith is strong. Use not your faithlessness against it, for it calls you to salvation and to peace. So the call for faith is strength. Do not rely upon your own strength, but lean upon the strength of the Holy Spirit. Believe in the unbelievable. Reach for the invisible. Reach for the unattainable, and rejoice as you experience it, as you become one with it, as you unify with it in consciousness, as you embed yourself in it. resurrect yourself in it through your conscious discipline, through your conscious contact with the Spirit. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, all else shall be added. So recognize what the priority is, recognize what the truth is, and then watch as miracles happen, which is a natural state of being. One of the first 50 principles of the Course in Miracles, which is the first chapter of the text. One of the principle of miracles is that they are natural. If I am not experiencing miracles, something has gone wrong. Miracles are perfectly natural because of who and what I am. So that will be it for today. That is the review of lesson 148 and the corresponding portion of the text, chapter 17, section 5. Thank you for being here. Thanks for hanging out today, every day at 11 a.m. Central Time. We will do a quick review somewhere between 45 minutes and 60 minutes. It's generally the TikTok generally gives me about 60 minutes before it cuts off the live. So thanks for being here. Thank you for your likes, your comments. Thanks for the follows. I'm here every morning at 11 a.m. Central Time, or you can go find these lives uploaded over on my YouTube channel. There's a link in the bio. Thanks for being here. Peace and blessings. Have a great day. Love you. Take care, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.